Hello, my name is Starlight. Welcome to my YouTube channel, and I'm reaching out to all of you beautiful souls out there. I hope you're able to get out in nature like Starlight is or was. And I've had one of those days. It's like, wow, what a day. So what more can I say? Anyway, I hope you're getting out like Starlight was. And today's Sunday, tomorrow's Monday. So, if you didn't get out, then, hopefully maybe throughout this week you can. And anyway, is like I was saying earlier, is because I had to delete my videos, is make sure you're being kind to yourself. And if do you have a mom and dad that loves and support you? Well, be there for them. Do you have, a husband or a wife, that are loving and supporting you? Be there for them. Let them know how much you appreciate them, and not just on holidays. It should be an everyday thing to let them know that you are there. Or if you have a loved one out there that you might not have ever met, but maybe you're working on getting to know each other and building a strong foundation as far as a relationship goes, make sure you are there for him or her. And if your children, be there for your children, be that example. So anyway, if you are new to my YouTube channel, welcome, and you can find me on YouTube, and that is at Starlight, and that is Kathy with a K, Dingman. Plus, you could give this video a thumbs up, and you could subscribe to my YouTube channel, and you can also send me a message down below, beep, beep, beep. Plus, you can also share my videos with your family, your friends. And what animals or bugs did Starlight see? And I gotta look this up because my day, I thought I didn't have a phone today. So a moth. I saw 2 moths today. So what does it mean when you see a moth? And the other thing, I didn't see that now, but I did, somebody gave me something and I had to let it go because I don't have the space for it, is an owl. Who? An owl. Who? An owl. Who? So yes, you could share my videos with an owl. Who? Who? So and don't forget to check out my playlist, and don't forget my little dinger bell like I did. I don't have it with me. So besides that, don't forget the notification bell. And you can check me out on Instagram at 1995 Starlight, or on Facebook, and that is Kathy with a K, Dingman Starlight. So anyway, I gotta speed this up because these videos, take longer than I think, and so Starlight's gonna stop saying so much right now and try to get to finish this video for the part 3 on should you beat your children. And last time, the part 2. So, some people, they might listen parts of stuff and not listen to part 1, part 2, part 3. So in this case, you definitely have to listen to all 3, because if you only listen to one part, you're going to miss out on information that is so important that locks together with part 1 and part 2. So don't get mad if you only watched part 1, but you didn't watch part 2 and 3. It's like reading a book and not continuing the whole entire book and like throwing it in the trash or whatever because you got lost somehow in the sauce. So you gotta watch all 3 of these videos, especially on this, especially if you're an adult or curious to what Starlight's talking about on these videos. So anyway, now the last time I was gonna end with the side effects, and this is where we're gonna start. So like I was saying before, is behavior issues. Children may exhibit emotional outbursts, change in moods, withdrawal, aggressiveness, violence, or hyperactivity. And those kind of things can also continue in adulthood. So I'm bringing this up because now a lot of people judge the homeless people, and they don't have a clue to what the heck they're going through or where they came from. So this video will really, all these videos will help you understand, that they had to have gone through some stuff. People just don't become homeless for no reason. Now, Starlight's in a different situation in here. This is where God put me, but this is where I started when I started at 16. So, and why? What was going on at the house? Well, Starlight said I had enough. I'm out the door. So anyway, the other side effects is mental issues. Children can develop depression. Now, this is mainly for children, the kind of things that can happen to them as far as this is just really about physical abuse, beating your children, not disciplining and beating are two different things. And that's why some people I might have lost, because, they didn't listen to the whole story. They only heard parts of the story. And that goes with people when they're hearing gossip and rumors and all that. They only hear bits and pieces, and they don't hear the whole thing or don't even know the whole thing. So you can't really do that on these types of videos. So mental illness for children, it can develop in depression, anxiety, guilt, fear, low self-esteem, and also may have suicide thoughts or attempts. And that is true. And there's other definite reasons why children would want to, have suicide thoughts as a child, and or even as adults. A lot of that stuff for adults, it's because something happened through their childhood, through either a family member or a friend of the family member or strangers or whoever. So also sleep disturbances, of course. Who could sleep? Who could sleep when they've been getting beat? Who can actually rest at night? Children may have a hard time falling asleep, or staying asleep, or could have nightmares or night terrors. Yeah, that says it all. And also cognitive delays. I didn't know what that was because it didn't really tell me, so I had to research this all on my own, which includes thinking, learning, and remembering. And this is what Starlight went through growing up. How can I learn anything in school when I'm thinking of all the trouble that's going on at home? So, so thinking, learning, remembering, and paying attention. How can you pay attention, when you're just traumatized by all the things that are going on at the house? And also having problems with solving, understanding instructions, acquiring new skills, communications, and playing with others. Now that is for the children, the side effects for them. Now, what are the effects of physical abuse later on in life? So later on in life, for adults, they can have problems now concretely linked to child abuse and neglect includes behavioral and achievement problems in school, heart, lung, and liver disease, obesity, and diabetes. So when we look out in public and we see some things and we judge it by the outward appearance, there's all different shapes and sizes out there. Now you might have more of a clearer understanding why they are that way. Everybody handles stress in a different way, and depending on what you went through and how far deep that went in your being and stuff like that. So it does affect, everybody in a different way. So also depression, anxiety disorders, and increased suicide attempts, and also increases criminal behaviors, illicit drug use and alcohol abuse, plus risky sexual activities. So some of you might have already, are watching this because maybe you came from a family with, physical abuse. And now by listening to this video and hearing the side effects, now you probably will understand yourself a whole lot better, like I did when I started reading this stuff. There's a lot I didn't know, but then there's a lot I did know because I've experienced through my life. So like I said, this is not about me, even though I'm putting myself out here, is that I put myself out here so other people, just because, it does happen where, a lot of beautiful women go through a lot of different forms of abuse, but it doesn't just happen to beautiful women. It happens to anyone, and anyone out there, whether a guy or a girl. It doesn't matter about how you look. So it can happen to anyone. So with that is what happens to adults who were physically abused as children. Also, this is where I'm going to bring up the whole thing of what I talked about before, as far as, I know some of you were blown probably off your chair, here in Starlight, talking about sub and dom relationships. Well, when you come from abusive home, now how abusive, what kind of home did you come from, and how abusive was it? Was it just physical abuse, or was it, a mixture of this and that, or was it everything that under the sun of kind of abuse that, there is? So everybody goes through different things, and because of that, it will definitely affect your taste in relationship. What kind of men are you drawn to, or what kind of women are you drawn to? And it has a lot to do with your background as far as being abused and needing to get healed. And, where that says it all for Starlight, and I didn't know that until later on in my life, why I was drawn to certain men, and to be drawn to go into a dom sub relationship, and to, also on that note is to, put myself and give somebody permission to abuse me, so, and that is with the dom and sub relationships. There's all kinds of funky things that go on behind the scenes, such as, and they have this all over on the porn sites or on sites out there, men spanking women, but it's not just men that are spanking women, it's also women, depending on what you are, they have a name called switch, which means that maybe the woman, will do the role as far as being the dom, but she might play that role also as far as disciplining a male, where the male, because who knows what that male went through, the man, he could have came from an abusive home where this is the only way he feels like he's being loved is by being beat or something. So there is a psychological reason why people like Starlight and other people put themselves where they're getting physically beaten, with any kind of, I think they call it spanking implements. I think that's how you say that. So, it will cause, when you go through abuse and on the, physical abuse, it will, your taste in relationships, whether a man or a girl, is you could be in a relationship with, you're fighting all the time with that person, or blaming each other, or maybe having an issue with with trusting people in relationships. Poor communication skills can happen, because of abusive relationships, and difficulty with intimacy, low self-esteem, self-doubt, and self-blame, shame. So Starlight, like I said, I've been at the end of both sticks. I was taught through a church, and it was because I was brought up this way by my mom and dad. Well, my mom was the one that was disciplining on using a stick as a child, but it was a joke, really. It was a joke. Our names was on it. They laughed about it. It was a funny thing for them, but it wasn't funny for Starlight. And, so I've been at both ends of the stick, and it was pretty much where you wouldn't want dad to take care of business, so mom had to. So, and if dad did, you are in a whole heck of a lot of trouble with that. So with that is that I now, I was actually, that's what I wanted to say, is I was in a cult church. That's a huge reason why I don't go to church anymore. It was a big eye-opener for me, is where, the pastor was teaching and preaching about beating your children, and I am saying it exactly the way it was said, to beat them with a rod, and it would save them, their souls from hell. And that's what I wrote on here, where that's pretty much what the Bible is saying. And I definitely believe in disciplining, but I really don't believe in taking any form of anything to whip your kids or beat your kids. If you started off right in the beginning with your children, and you got with the right person, really, I don't see that there would be a reason to have to beat your children. So the person that took off, maybe in the middle of a video, you didn't listen to the third part of the video. I absolutely don't believe in beating your children with any kind of form. Discipline comes in several different ways. The rod actually is, also there's reasons and meanings behind a rod, where, it's about authority, and it doesn't necessarily mean that you actually have to take a stick or a rod or a belt to beat your children to get them to obey. What kind of example are you in the house, and are you sending your kids to public schools? So if you're being a bad example to your children from beginning all the way through, yeah, you're gonna end up having your hands full. And if you never really discipline your children, and they say never to hit your children with your hand, because the hand is supposed to actually be, like love, that's how they receive love. And so, hand is absolutely not, should never be, children should never be hit with your hand, and I don't agree with even using any form of, because I don't agree with everything in the Bible, but I do believe that children need to be disciplined in a healthy way, in a caring way, and they need to be communicated with. And every age is different as far as when it comes to disciplining them and when they did something wrong. And you got to make sure you got the facts right. Make sure the child really 100% did something wrong, instead of false accusing your children. Maybe the other sisters or brothers, or even mom or dad, could say and blame the children, so then the parent doesn't get in trouble, because that shit does happen. So you have to be mindful of when, make sure you catch the child. And there should be rules written down at the house, and let them know, hey, if this, just like they have out in the world, if you break this law, drinking and driving, there should be a consequence. And I'm not saying like the way that law is about, oh, give us your money and then you can go and get back out there and drink and drive again. No. If I was the law in that area when it comes to drink and driving, I would discipline and take their freedom away as far as driving around in a car. Give them something to think about, because money could be easily given, or they could borrow it or get it somehow another, and and just to pay it off. But did they really learn their lesson after that? Because losing your car would be more painful than the cash, or a check, or, your card. So, with your children, if you're going to make up rules at the house, they need to know that there's consequences with those rules. And if you, the parent, yes, you, mom and dad, or singles, mom or dad, is that if you make, I seen this, I witnessed this not too long ago. If you say, these are the rules, and they learn as they go, as they get older and older, the rules are always going to change. You ought to have the rules on the wall somewhere, wrote out, and it should not be a laughing matter at all about these rules. They are serious rules in the house, and you can even have your child's name onto it because of their age, and say, okay, because you're at this certain age, these are your rules, that you got to go by. And if I catch you breaking this rule, there's a consequence. I'm taking a video game away. I'm taking your bike away for a week. Whatever, you got to find out with each child what really gets them going. But this really, really only works when you start off like this. You got to start off like this. You can't never discipline your kids, always cave into everything that they whine about, and then now they're teenagers. You just created a monster right there, is because you weren't disciplining them from the start. You weren't making, it's if the laws out here, and people really give cops a hard time a lot of times, but really, you think about it, how many times did we get caught doing something wrong and we didn't get caught? We did something wrong, we broke a law, we thought, hey, I didn't get caught, even if it's just riding around without a seatbelt. speeding, like not doing a complete full stop sign, So, we got to give the cops a break a little bit here because, man, imagine if every stop sign that you didn't do a complete full stop that you got a ticket for that. So, so it's normally the new cops that will get you for that kind of, they got a name for those, the new officers out there. So, you don't want to be like that. When they break that rule, there's sometimes once in a while, you can say, okay, they need that because that's how God is with us. Sometimes, it could be around their birthday, or maybe they've gone through some bad times. That would be the time to kind of give them a little break, be a little lenient on that rule, and you don't have to follow through. But they need to know that mom and dad means business when they make these rules up, so those will really help out. And there's so many ways, they like going to their friend's house. Well, they're not going now. You gotta be firm in those areas. Those are forms of discipline. You don't really necessarily have to beat your children, and because you know what? If you haven't felt it on your own ass, and that's why I brought up the whole topic. It's not, I even have pictures. I do. I still have them on a flash drive somewhere. You want to see it, is what some of those spanking tools could really do to somebody's ass, so it shouldn't be to that point of abuse. So you really, and I'm not here at all, one bit at all, to say to beat your kids with a rod or anything. Absolutely not. I really believe that you got to really do things right from the beginning. Make sure you got the right person in your life, whether you're married or not, and, if you're not with the right person and you're totally, on a disagreement, because, I could love my children, and then you got stepkids in the family where sometimes it goes backwards. Sometimes the real parents love the stepchildren more than they love their own. So sometimes they might treat the stepkids better than their own kids. Sometimes they'll be harder on the stepchildren more than their own, or, vice versa, depending on the parent. So if you're together and you both have kids, this guy has kids, she's got kids, say he's got 2 and she's got 2, and now you got 4, and you come together. Well, the rules ought to go, it shouldn't be that, the husband or the guy, that his kids get away with shit, and where the female, she's got a couple of kids, and, they're always the ones that are, the rules are really strict. So when you combine 2 different, like divided family members together, well, then the rules ought to apply to every single one of them according to their age, because they all need to do that. Because if you don't do that, you're going to bring jealousy against the children, and it could cause a big, huge mess when you're not around at the house. And, you got the oldest babysitting all the little ones. Now the big guy, the oldest one, he's always taking a rap for all the little ones, or the girl, and he's the babysitter, and you're thinking that you're getting a free ticket by not paying for a babysitter, but now, you're one of the siblings on one of the sides. It doesn't even matter if it's a divided family or not. It could be a family that started off and they just have 5 kids. Well, if you're putting favoritism on the other kids, maybe you're really hard on this one and not so hard on that one, you're creating a problem. You're going to create a big, huge problem with the one that's always, when you're always being hard on. And it's going to cause a problem when even that child gets older. It's going to be envious of people and jealousy and envious is going to come. And also, that person could want to be physically abusive by, taking care of business. And that's why it's so important, no matter who's watching your kids, whether it's your kids watching your kids, or your husband watching your kids, or your wife, or the babysitter, or grandma or grandpa, or a stranger, you really should have hidden cameras in your house. Now, depending on the age, in their bedrooms. you got to think of the rooms where they're going to hang out. Because, shit does happen behind closed doors, and it doesn't, you could think that even uncles and aunts, you really should really protect your children, because you might never know what, your brothers or sisters are into behind closed doors, or, what grandpa and grandma has done, now, and it doesn't matter. They might have been, you might have not have seen anything when they were younger, but that could change when they get older. You never know what goes on in people's heads, so it is so important to really, really protect your children at all costs. I am a firm believer, if I did that all over again, you bet your ass I would have definitely hidden cameras, and they don't have to, there's so many things online that you could put out that don't look like cameras. Of course, you got to make sure that device is somewhere and nobody bothers it, and they don't know about it, you don't tell anybody about it, but you want to protect your kids, because we don't need more kids being abused in any form, because then it's going to cause problems for them later on, like I said about those side effects. So anyway, I pretty much think I really covered it all. So Starlight is, if you want to use a rod on a child's ass, have your partner practice it on your ass first. Tell me how it feels. Tell me, like, how does it feel? And because those rods, really, I'll tell you what, do you know what it feels like having, glass cutting through your skin? That's the only thing I can think of, really. It's like glass cutting through your skin. And so I'm not saying at all to use any stinking implements on your children at all. But if you didn't take care of your kids in the beginning, throughout the time, because you might have not have known, maybe you're trying to do what your parents did and maybe it's not working, you really got to be the right example to your kids. You need to be honest to your kids. And you know what? When you screw up, apologize to them. Humble yourself and say, you know what, mommy or daddy was wrong. They need to hear that from you. They need to see that mommy and daddy are not perfect, but in a way where it will help them to say, you know what, because you don't want their pride getting all out there, especially going to public school, and being around other kids that are prideful, because they come from rich family and they get everything, so you really got to humble yourself. When you did something wrong to your children, like I have, I cried and I said, I am so sorry, because I was being trained to do that to my children. And it was a very painful experience. And that is why it's so important that this kind of abuse stops, for the children. And, because if you do things in the beginning, in the beginning, and you didn't have them in public school, all that stuff, you gotta be right on top of everything, and talk to them, tell them what they did wrong with love. If you're upset and angry, don't handle the situation. Cool off. Go cool off. Go outside and get some cold air. Don't handle some of the situations right away. You gotta cool off first. Cool off. Take a breather. Stay away from your child. Call somebody out for help. Say, you know what? I really, right now, I'm just going through a problem with my child. But please, think before you do, think before you say. Words are very powerful, as just as well as, physical abuse. So, I could go on and on with this topic, but really 3 videos on this topic is good enough. I love you so much. I'm only here, and I put my ass out here, literally, to, it's embarrassing, but I don't really care. That happened how many years ago? That happened a long time ago. And I have to say, the reason why I went through a lot of that is I felt like I had to punish myself for what I did, to my children and what I put them through because of this cult church that I was in. So I punished myself severely for, because I couldn't forgive myself for what I did and how I treated my kids, because I was deceived thinking that that's how to take care of your kids. So, and that's why I needed to bring that up. is because abuse really goes far, and it goes in the adulthood, as far as picking out partners in your life. So you don't have to be with somebody that's abusive. Please, spend some time alone with yourself, find out who you are, get healed first. Then, you know what? Give yourself some self-love, and then, work slowly and try to work on making a friend. So anyway, I love you, and I love you so much. This is Starlight. You can give this video a thumbs up. You can subscribe to my YouTube channel. Plus, you could leave a message down below, beep, beep, beep. And also, you could share my videos with your family, your friends. Let's see, I'm trying to think of the animals. I saw a lot of, trying to think of some bugs. A grasshopper, you could share my videos with a grasshopper. And I have a hard time with this dog. It's a dog, something dog. But let me see. You could share my videos with a German Shepherd. It's one of my favorite dogs. And also you can check out my playlist, because you don't know what I talked about before. And I'll tell you, I was